This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The Minister of Health and Wellness and the Public Hospitals Authority are working diligently to address the backlog of healthcare services and surgical procedures at the Princess Margaret Hospital and the Rand Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama. This much coming from Minister responsible Dr. Michael Darville just before the weekly cabinet meeting.
We are looking at the backlog of cases at the Princess Margaret Hospital as well as the Rand Memorial Hospital. COVID has definitely taken up a lot of our resources. There's been much wear and tear in the public healthcare system. And the ministry, as well as the PHA, we're working diligently now to do the necessary repairs that have caused some of the backlogs with our surgical cases, and also to put in place additional manpower so we can now begin to address those backlogs. But as we speak, we are now doing some of that and we intend to do a lot more.
Dr. Darville was unable to give an exact number as it relates to the backlog. Now, just this past Sunday, some 39 doctors graduated from the University of the West Indies School of Clinical Medicine and Research Postgraduate Doctor of Medicine program. Dr. Darville spoke to how soon we can see these doctors entering the healthcare system to assist.
Those doctors are already in the system, majority are, and we have to now, along with the PHA, make a determination where they would be placed. There's a deficiency at the Rand Memorial Hospital and also at the Princess Margaret Hospital. These doctors received a DM, which means now that they are specialists in their own right, and we are pleased to have them in the system, and it's just now for the PHA and our entire team to determine exactly which role they would play at that level.
Dr. Darville assures that discussions are being held to make the needed adjustments in the healthcare system. Attorney General Senator Ryan Pinder updating reporters on the compendium of human rights bills that's expected to come before Cabinet soon. The AG says because this suite of legislation has become so voluminous, it will have to be split into 3 different blocks. He says this much ahead of the weekly cabinet meeting at the office of the Prime Minister.
So we have now split that up into 3 separate advancements because they deal with different items, and it's rather voluminous. So we've now split that up to deal with immigration, citizenship, and asylum is one block, with sexual assault matters is another block, and then equalizing the juvenile ages and looking at all of that as a third block for human rights matters with respect to juveniles.
The AG adds that these bills will also address the inconsistencies in the law surrounding the age permitted to certain things in the country.
If you would actually look at all of the different pieces of legislation in the country that addresses juveniles, you'll see numerous inconsistencies in ages. Of what you can do as a juvenile and not do as a juvenile. So, for instance, you can get married at a certain age, but you can't go and get medical treatment by yourself at a certain age, even if you're married. Right? So these things are all inconsistencies throughout. So what we're looking to do on the juvenile side is we're looking to provide recommendations to Cabinet on all of these discrepancies throughout all the different pieces of legislation, and to get a consensus on equalizing the age so there's less confusion, and there's more routine and more transparency in how we deal with juvenile matters. And so that's being formulated and coming to Cabinet.
He says he would like to present this block of a compendium to the Cabinet first as soon as next week. He adds that he hopes to bring the block addressing sexual offense matters shortly after, then on to the immigration and citizenship matters. In news from the courts, Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson-Pratt was set to hear a number of serious cases in Court Number 9 at the South Street Court Complex on Tuesday morning, but each of the matters before her were adjourned to new dates. First to appear before the magistrate were Orlando Curtis and Jefford Roberts to answer charges of conspiracy to commit murder. It is believed to be connected to the shooting that began on Blue Hill Road and ended on Palm Tree Avenue, The Grove, on March 27th. While Curtis, who was already in police custody, was present, Roberts did not make an appearance. Now the voluntary bill of indictment in the matter is ready to be served. However, the matter was adjourned to Wednesday, April 6th. Stephen Strawn of Montel Heights also appeared before Chief Magistrate Ferguson-Pratt to answer charges of being in possession of a firearm with the intent to endanger life in a matter stemming from 2020. However, the voluntary bill of indictment was not ready as a result of Strawn, who was already on bail, and he will have to return to court on June 21st at 10 a.m. Also appearing in court today was Whitney Roll Jr., who flew in from Abaco to face a charge of possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition. The case was set for transfer and will be heard between September 21st to the 22nd at 10 a.m. Roll is represented by attorney Ian Cargill. And Dwight Major out of Long Island was set to appear before Chief Magistrate Ferguson Pratt on Tuesday morning to face charges of conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs with intent to supply and possession of dangerous drugs with intent to supply. However, Major's attorney Ian Cargill informed the magistrate that his client is presently in Jamaica receiving medical treatment. Cargill was then asked for proof of the medical treatment, however, he was not able to do so. The matter was adjourned to Tuesday, April 19th, when Mr. Cargill must provide proof of Major's medical treatment in Jamaica. Monday, April 4th, 2022 was recognized as National Census Day, and on that day, the Bahamas National Statistical Institute some 1,600 persons sworn in as National 2022 Census workers all around the country. Their job to contact a certain collate data pertaining to the nation's population. Just before swearing in her charge to the workers, Chief Census Officer Ms. Kim Saunders sent this message to the cohort.
This census is perhaps the most challenging one ever undertaken in this country. Its execution has experienced serious delays due to Hurricane Dorian that devastated Abaco and Grand Bahama, destroying infrastructure and relocating residents. This, coupled with the economic and social impact of COVID, has seriously impacted the conduct of this census, which was designed to use highly advanced modern technology. As mentioned earlier, Dorian and COVID have had a significant impact on our country. Therefore, accurate record keeping of this information and full coverage is crucial in order to statistically measure their impact.
In addition to this, Ms. Saunders also outlined the importance of calculating the level of displacement our family islands experienced over the past few years and emphasized how the information gathered from the census can help current and future governments ensure national wages are sufficient and fair. Also in attendance was Economic Affairs Minister Michael Helkidis as he delivered this message as part of his keynote address on why census taking is such a vital part of developing an already developed nation.
One of your government's chief responsibilities is the socio-economic development of the country, which entails providing its people with the best services and infrastructure possible. This cannot be done in a vacuum. Instead, good, accurate, and reliable data are needed. Therefore, the age distribution and composition of the population must be known in order to determine whether, for example, additional primary or secondary schools are needed and where they should be located. Likewise, it is necessary to know the demands for tertiary education and the type in order to increase the numbers and/or improve the existing facilities. Whatever the use of the data, I am certain that you are convinced by now that it is absolutely critical that you commit yourselves wholeheartedly to your role and carry out your duties in a diligent and responsible manner. It will be a challenge for you, which your training has prepared and equipped you to undertake. So I encourage you to consciously and diplomatically perform your duties, knowing that it is in the best interest of us all.
Phase 1 of the national census is set to begin digitally this month and run nationwide until June. And as the war continues against gang violence, today police officers who are deployed to the National Crime Prevention Office of the Royal Bahamas Police Force took their efforts to schools, kickstarting a series of youth empowerment forums at selected schools here in the capital. AF Adderley Junior High was the first school selected. Recently, that school made headlines for a stabbing incident which left a student injured. Superintendent of Police Ollie Peters says that the police department is always seeking to address issues as they rise in our community.
We know that crime and misbehavior is an issue that is always at the forefront of people's mind, and so we sought to seek to address this issue of school violence by putting on this forum, having speakers come in who would have experienced what the students might be experiencing or potentially maybe having to experience, so that they can be exposed to the information and have the power to make the right decision
Ronald George Simmons, an inmate at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, who is currently serving a life sentence for the murder of a police officer in 2002, spoke with ninth graders, encouraging them to make the right decision before ending up like him. He also talked about conflict resolution.
A schoolmate of yours, a friend of some of y'all, almost lost his life by stabbing. A problem, a misunderstanding that could have been resolved with words, not steel. It could have been resolved with words. I don't know what the situation may be, but I know that countries with more complex problems are able to resolve their problems with words. I don't see why two individuals with less problems, less complex problems, can't resolve their problems in the same, or their issues in the same like manner with words.
Now, Inspector Mikhail Pinder from the NCPO also spoke to the youngsters. She provided the names and backstories of a number of young persons who lost their lives to violence in the country during the time she was working as a detective.
Who is going to lead us? The end result is, if you don't wake up your ideas, you can either be an inmate or you can be a victim of crime. The ultimate choice is yours. I want you to wake up your ideas. I want you to take what is going on seriously. I want you to understand what is going on. You have the choice. You have the time to make a difference. It doesn't matter who calls you right. It doesn't matter who looks at you differently when you walk away. The bottom line is that this will not be the end result if you choose to make the right decision. But if you do not wake up in your ideas, who is going to be next?
The initiative was a collaboration between the RBPF, BDOCS, and the Ministry of Education. Superintendent Peters could not say at the time which school will be next for the forum. Well, that does it for news this evening. Once again, I'm Tyler Simonet, and from all of us here at JCN News, have a wonderful evening, everyone.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.